Hello and welcome to the Esports Tower Rumble in Overwatch. We are broadcasting from the Shenandoah University Esports Arena. My name is Xander Merlesmith. I'm joined tonight to call the action by Josh Cunningham. Josh, how you doing?
I am doing absolutely phenomenal. Last week, we had seen an amazing group stage, and I'm really excited to get into this week's semi-final matches for your Esports Tower Summer Invitational for Overwatch Esports Tower Rumble. I'm super excited. I am really excited to get into game number one, which is going to be your Barracudas versus the Scorpions. And this is going to be an intense match. We have the number 1 seed going up against the number 4 seed. The Barracudas coming in very hot. And the Scorpions really had to shift some things up last week, and they're looking to make a change in the course for this kind of tournament.
Absolutely, and as you can see there, Barracudas versus Scorpions at the top of the bracket, Lynx and Vipers at the bottom side of the bracket. Of course, they're both in the semifinals. We didn't see any of the Vipers last week, but they went 2-1 in the group stages, and they were actually the only team to take a game off of the Barracudas, the undefeated Barracudas, so I'm really excited to see them a little bit later on. But I believe we're ready to jump into game number one. And as we do so, we're going to break down a little bit more of this matchup. Now, Josh, tell me a little bit about how the Barracudas performed last week and what they're trying to look for to do here in the semifinals.
They did a phenomenal performance. They absolutely were sweeping through the group stages. We saw them go 2-0 against the Lynx. We saw them then go 2-0 against the Scorpions before taking a break as the Lynx and Scorpions duked it out. And now they're back to continue this streak. They did lose one map to the Vipers, but were overall able to come out on top. And this is going to be an intense match. The Scorpions, in order to improve from last week, has spent a lot of time VOD reviewing this week. They are really, really looking forward to how this week presents an opportunity to change things up, allows them to get back into the competition, take the Barracudas out early, and yeah, they're feeling overall really good as far as team chemistry. That's what the coaches have been saying after the VOD review session. They have bonded really well, and the team chemistry is up a lot, and they're hoping that that kind of rolls through all the little cracks in the teamwork and kind of helps to patch it together like super glue.
Yeah, and of course, these are the top 24 players in the the Overwatch divisions of Esports Tower. And so all 24 were invited out to compete in a LAN. And here we are seeing them facing off for the first time here, Scorpions versus Barracudas tonight. And this is going to be a very telling team fight because it's going to get to see who really gets the momentum starting out. And Scorpions getting the early control over the robot there in the middle.
Yeah, we see Scorpions rolling a more traditional brawl comp with the Reinhardt, whereas the Barracudas are trying out something a bit different using the Junker Queen composition, where they are going to be using that Glory Tank, the Junker Queen tank instead to try and punch holes through the enemy's lines. And Junker Queen is super broken. I'm really excited to see how Reinhardt kind of compares. Last week we saw it happen a little bit on New Queen Street, but the teams decided to switch things up, and both went Reinhardt after only a little bit. So will we see the same thing happen here? Will Junker Queen stay on the map, or will Barracudas have to switch things up with Naiwo's Reinhardt?
Now, Josh, tell me a little bit about the differences between the two push maps that we saw. Colosio here looking a lot more tight-quartered.
Yeah, absolutely. These are way narrower rooms and environments that you're going to be fighting through on this map as compared to New Queen Street. New Queen Street's a lot more open, way more off angles to take. These teams, though, are much more in the thick of it. They have to play brawl comps for the most part because there's just not enough space to keep the enemy team far enough away from you where a poke comp is really viable. So you just kind of have to get into each other's faces, and the only way you're going to do that is with a good brawl comp.
And now Scorpions need to look out here a little bit as the Barracudas now with 4 of their ultimates, and that's going to be Big Dream going down before they're able to use one. Going to come right back to life, though, and respawn, and here we are. I guess Scorpions with now 2 down. They're losing some health bars. Barracuda standing strong with 2 of those ultimates now used, and the beat still available for the Barracudas to continue this push.
That beat's going to become in very useful as we see Overclock coming up for Shursty, as well as Naiwo already has that Shadow ready. Triplet with the beat to counter it as well, but I really feel like the Barracudas are going to use that beat in a really fantastic way. Let's see if Gambler's able to get some massive value and take away that overclock or take away that Shatter's potential for changing this fight back in the direction of Scorpions. Naiwo swinging his hammer as he comes in. Shursey taking out multiple, and those ults not going to come out in this fight.
And we actually saw Glory falling very early, our player of the week last week. And falling early in that fight, you never want your player of the week going down, because as it was, dominoes for the Barracudas. The rest of them beginning to fall, and Scorpions now back on the offensive side of the game.
Shatter went out, not able to get enough value though. Glory also popping that ult, going to be hitting that anti-heal on as many people as possible. Not a ton of value from those two tank ults. They were able to trade them successfully. That overclock for Shursey, though, is going to put Glory down in the dirt, and now they're going to have a really big opening for the Scorpions to push pressure onto the Barracudas and continue to checkpoint 1.
Yeah, very healthy Scorpions. Save Shursey, though. That's going to be a little bit dangerous, but now back to full health, and 2 members of the Barracudas already falling. Avian about to follow suit. And it looks like the Scorpions have really figured out what they needed to do against the Barracudas here early on. Looking over that VOD review seemed to really have paid off, as that team cohesion making a big impact here early.
Yeah, we're seeing Naiwo doing a fantastic job keeping this space as well. The Scorpions doing a great job pushing through this high ground. Now, just through the underneath of the bridge, almost at that checkpoint, the Barracudas are able to sweep in. Once you get that payload right underneath that bridge, it's very hard to keep going. There's too much high ground, and the Barracudas were able to just surround them, collapse on the team. Naiwo went down last, and that's going to be a bit of a stagger onto the Scorpions, and it's really good for the Barracudas that now they're turning things around.
That was, it was a team kill for the Barracudas, and now they've got an opportunity to push back this other way. And we've got to mention last week, as the Barracudas in their first game against the Lynx, they were losing up until the last second in overtime and were able to pull out the win. So it's no surprise to me that they start off a little bit slow here tonight and are able to start to get a little bit of foothold here in this game mode.
And Avian just putting up so much value for the Barracudas as his ult finds 2 and was able to take out the 3rd from that team fight. Barracudas just moving forward even further now under the bridge themselves. Will Scorpions be able to get the same surrounding play set up that the Barracudas were on the other side? Or are the Barracudas going to continue to push past this checkpoint and further towards Scorpion spawn? We're seeing it right now as Naiwo charges in. Iris and Naiwo able to take out Glory and Avian. Naiwo had to use the Shatter, but a big value. Also Coalescence coming out of Iris, and that is the team fight over as Scorpions just sweep right on through.
Oh my gosh, I am in love with this game type, as especially on this map, it doesn't seem like there's ever any moment that you get a full amount of push unless you're able to win back-to-back team fights very, very rapidly, because as soon as you're pushing over to the far side of the map, they've already respawned, and now you're back in a full team fight once again in a close quarter situation. So this is absolutely insane. Loving this so far, and it has been a true tug of war at the moment.
Unfortunately, both the DPS in that last team fight for the Scorpions used their ultimates. Now Glory coming up on her own. Going to be looking to get anti-heal out on the enemy team. Beat, only thing available to counter it. Triplet goes down early. This opens up the fight for it now. It's Glory just continues to take out the tank, pushing forward into the other team, and Barracuda's looking very strong still as that payload's wrapping around the corner.
Oh yeah, and using this high ground, meeting them, creating that space for the payload as they're able to push across this bridge and really create a little bit of havoc. They're gaining an actual new, I want to say, high score of where their
massive
point has
anti-heal. A massive anti-heal came out of Glory there. Onto every member of Scorpions. Unfortunately, Barracuda's not ready to collapse onto it. Now Naiwo in the back lines being swung at and swinging at. Now Avian going to take him out. Big Dream finds the mirror pick on Shursty, and Glory picks Iris. That's another team fight in the hands for Barracudas.
The sustain that they're getting from Glory has been insane so far. And, I mean, it's really been really tough for the Scorpions to get that burst damage through it with all that overhealth. And so far, this late game so far feels like it's all Barracudas.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see Not Doomfist take out Blank very early into the next team fight. Avian able to also take out Shirsty. That's both DPS gone from Scorpions. Barracuda's popping beat. Big Dream ready with Overclock. Just going to use it. Barracuda's not leaving anything up to chance. Trying to end the game here. Iris able to respond with the Coalescence. Actually finds two. Big Dream falls as well. And now Iris just looking to keep this value up, keep this heals out for the rest of the team as this brawl is continuing and Barracuda's not getting the better end of it.
No, starting to fall and starting to lose a little bit of steam in this push as the robot's going to be pushing back the other way. That being said, Barracudas have a huge lead in this game with only 1 minute and 54 seconds left to go. Scorpions need a couple of huge wins to get this one about tied because Barracudas basically have it on their gate.
Yeah, we see the ults kind of flip here as we're heading into the new team fight. The Scorpions now coming up on 3, almost 4, and Barracuda's only going to be close to 1, and that's going to be Glory's ultimate. Only able to get that anti-heal out. No follow-up from the DPS available. Going to be very hard for Barracudas to break in through this, but the Scorpions giving them the space anyway. The ultimates aren't even needed. These picks are just so good from the Barracudas, and Big Dream finds another one. We're seeing Earthshatter come up for Naiwo now, as he's just trying to maintain this corner as Barracuda's almost at that final checkpoint. Robot coming in, looking to contest it. Here comes the Earthshatter, going right onto the Glory. Glory not going to get taken out as Big Dream was there to support. Big Dream doing an absolutely massive job. Also, oh, what an amazing blade onto Shirsty from Glory. We're seeing Shirsty use Overclock to try and counter this, as well as Dragons come out of Hanzo. And there it is. Those two ultimates were enough. Barracuda's temporarily pushed back as the Scorpions are now able to regroup.
I feel for Niwa. They're using the Earthshatter on a single target, and then even then not able to close that one elimination out. Boy, the teamwork from Barracudas, the way they've kind of stuck on each other's hips this entire game, the support they're giving one another, it seems to be doing everything right to overcome the Scorpions' defense at the moment. And now we're back in the middle.
And we're seeing 3 ultimates come out of Barracuda's Coalescence, the only counter. Big Dream finds 2, Avian finds 1. Big Dream finds another. That's the team fight already over as Iris about to get taken down. And there it is as the Barracudas are running straight to the enemy spawn. And that is actually going to do it, though. The Barracudas had enough time on the clock. They won enough team fights, and what an amazing first round.
Absolutely. Barracudas didn't skip a beat there. And let's go ahead and take a look at the play of the game. Iris on Moira.
I'm really interested. This is where we saw some big value earlier. It's the first Coalescence, or one of the first Coalescences that we saw. Naiwo had that Earth Shatter, and there's just so much follow-up damage coming out of this Coalescence and heals. Just absolutely great team play, a way to support, awesome positioning, not getting caught out at all. A great Moira player.
Laser beams.
Laser beams. Laser beams, indeed. What a fantastic match we just saw. The Barracudas just really phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, they didn't kind of slow down any from last week at all. They've continued their dominance, and it seemed like they were a little bit slow off that initial game. In the early game, Scorpions seemed to have their number, but then, boy, something started clicking, and the Barracudas really picked it up into high gear. And really, I didn't see them let off the gas that entire back half of that game because it was essentially always on the Scorpions' half.
Yeah, absolutely. Once we hit past that first checkpoint, it just became that much harder for both these teams. And Scorpions just not able to really get a solid counter push going. Once the Barracudas were able to stack their ultimates, we saw the Scorpions use 2 DPS ultimates in one fight, neither getting the value that they needed. And I think really that's what cost them the match in the long run, just having that slight stagger of the ults where Barracudas were able to just consistently roll back into these fights with 3 or 4.
Some amazing action we've seen so far, and if you'd like to make sure not to miss any of it in the future, make sure you go ahead and follow all the socials from Esports Tower. That's going to be on Insta, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, the other one. Basically look for Esports Tower, and it's on there. And also, again, if you want to check out anything that we've got going on here from Shenandoah University, make sure to follow Shenyu Esports on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, and then Shenandoah Esports on YouTube and Twitch. And boy, oh boy, you're not going to want to miss any more of this action because if the Barracudas keep playing like this, it's going to be quite the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Glory, our MVP last week, just continuing their reign this week, I think, so far. Just being absolutely dominant on the field. Do you see a competitor stepping up to challenge them? And will we see them in the next game? Obviously, that is not it yet, as we are now going to be heading into the next map.
Yeah, game number 2 coming up here. And you know what? To be honest, I don't know. As far as the Scorpions definitely seem to have a lot of everything put together there early on, and then they started to fall apart a little bit. And I think a lot of the teamwork and VOD review that they were doing helped out a lot. But as we move forward into game number 2, I think that they just need to keep focusing on what was working for them, right? What kind of got them that sort of lead early on? Was it, a certain team comp? Was it just kind of specific playmakers coming out into the forefront to dominate that of the Barracudas? We'll find out here in game number 2 as Scorpions needing to strike back in this best of 5 to tie things up.
Yeah, looking to hit them with their stinger before it ends. The Scorpions now on Dorado. Will they be on attack or defense first? I'm very excited as things are ramping up here in the semifinals for the Overwatch Esports Tower Rumble.
And here we go. As we're going to a Dorado, and we saw a little bit of this last week. Tell me what are some strategies you might be looking for? Maybe some team comps. I know that we saw some from last week. Is there a lot of value to trying to, have that poke comp early on defense to slow down that initial turn around the corner? Do you kind of want to get in their faces a little bit more? What's your go-to strategy here, and what do you think we're going to see from the offense here early?
Well, it looks like we're seeing a Diva pick come out, which is very interesting. She does have the fly ability, which puts her on par with Winston in this game, but Winston is normally the Dorado pick. We see the Scorpions come out with it, and the goal of the defensive side is to kind of set up on these high grounds in this first area at least, and just slowly have Winston jump down, do as much damage as possible, hopefully have DPS get a pick. If they're not able to, though, just sustain the payload here as long as possible, not die. That is the goal of the defense, is to not die in this early fight here. It doesn't matter that much for the Barracudas. If they go down, they're right at their spawn doors, and Blank gets taken out first by Glory. On the Diva, like I said, it's a very interesting pick. Normally we see Winston, but that armor is going to be really good. But a big poke comp coming out of Scorpions, a high potential for that Diva to be strongly countered. Her critical hitbox is quite large. We have the Ashe with Shirsty, triplet on the Ana, and Iris with the Zenyatta just going to be doing a lot of poke damage. And it's really, yeah, that's really it. We're going to see the defensive have a poke line in the back, and then the Monkey's going to be jumping in.
And I actually love that with the Barracudas. As soon as they took out Blank there in that early pick, the 4 of them, one stayed down on the payload, all 4 of them jumped up to take that high ground, forcing the Scorpions to back off and essentially give them those next 2 corners for free. And this Diva has been, trying everything to slow down.
Oh, that increased defense matrix is so good. Widely considered the best ability in the entire game. It's able to block any incoming projectile. That is just incredible. Anything you throw at it, it just eats it. It just consumes it. It's just gone into the void. Diva very broken, and now with that increased timer on it, much better. A lot more sustain when you're going on these initial pushes, and Shirsty just getting pushed out. And Bob actually going to be able to take out the Diva Mech. Shirsty not having to do too much, just letting the abilities do the work for him. And there's the aim, finding 3.
Insane plays from Shirsty there. That's going to be something to contend with for play of the game right there. Some insane shots. I mean, the hit scan work with a lot of these flying enemies really doing a lot of great work. Finally going to be going down, but not before 3 members of the Barracudas pay their lives for it. And now they're a little bit slowed down. Scorpions started to dig in a little bit, and we'll see if they're able to continue that and slowing down the Barracudas, because that, they pushed up to this point. They still don't have a point in this game yet, but if they're able to get a couple another big pushes like that, then the Barracudas could start to really use that momentum and force the Scorpions into a scary situation where they have to get a lot of distance on that offensive side.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of sustain coming up for the Scorpions as well. Nano goes out onto the Monkey. He has Primal as well. That Monkey's not going to die anytime soon. We see Transcendence ready on Iris as well. And Winston just maintaining all of this space forward as Iris and Shirsty are able to pick off the 2 DPS in the back. And now we're seeing some danger come out. And again, there's that ultimate pop from Naibo. He just stays alive. Bomb comes out from D.Va, not going to get enough value. And although it did actually bait out the Transcendence from Iris, they will not have that for next team fight. Let's see, well, how the Barracudas are going to try to push through this. They have Nano, they're coming up on Pulse Bomb, and they got Valkyrie. Nano's probably going to be really useful, but so far, unless they just Nano D.Va and say, Glory, go, I don't really see how useful that Nano is going to be in this comp. Tracer, we could also see it go out on. If Avian's able to hit a lot of shots, we could see that really open this up. But none of these ultimates are made for opening this fight up, and I think that's really where we saw the difference in that last team fight. Scorpions just able to set up so well with those defensive ultimates. Sadly, had to use all three, though. Shirsty now has Bob, but gets taken out. That's a lot of sustain taken off for the time being from the Scorpions, and this could be Barracuda's chances. Avian takes out 2.
Oh my goodness, the Barracudas taking down 3 members. Now in overtime, the Scorpions putting up such a good defense up until overtime. Once again, the Barracudas with that clutch gene coming through. They're going to be able to extend this game out with an extra 2 minutes and 30 seconds now and a point on the board. What a performance there from the Barracudas to just bide their time, knowing they just needed to get the picks and not necessarily touch that payload quite yet. What an amazing performance. Let's see how they continue.
Yeah, and so I know I said that it's unlikely for Avian to pop off a Nano Tracer there, but that's exactly what happened. We saw Doomfist hit Tracer, hit Avian with that Nano, and Avian just popped off, hitting those targets and created so much space for the team. Now having to contest this high ground, it's going to be up to the Big Dream. Ultimate ready, not going to get too much value. We're actually going to get a ton as Blank goes down. Now looking to take out Monkey as well. There, Naiwo looking very low. Big Dream having to get out of there low HP themselves. And fantastic movement, and also that Mercy Pocket coming in very clutch.
Oh, absolutely. It seemed like a Big Dream having a lot of trouble figuring out exactly the positioning there in that tight corridor and where the damage was coming from. Able to get out with their lives, and now finally going to drop. And the Mercy as well, unfortunately for those two. Barracuda is going to be slowed down here just a little bit as Scorpions getting some nice picks.
Yeah, and here's another one. Blank taking out Not Doomfist almost on that Nano. Going to be waiting a little bit longer before it's able to be used in this fight. Probably going to look for the Nano Blade, though, so expect Not Doomfist to hold on for at least a little bit unless the Barracudas get in a tight situation. Triplet also on Nano. Blank ready with Pulse Bomb. I say Triplet's going to be looking to hit Nano on a Naiwo just to, again, get that sustain on point like we saw them at the last checkpoint.
And yeah, two ultimates ready for the Scorpions. Just the one, actually, sorry, 2 there for Barracudas.
Pulse Bomb just missing Not Doomfist as Blank trying to get out and back to safety of the team. Glory, low HP, no support coming out just yet. And this could be a big chance for Blank to take out the main tank. Not going to happen, though. Naiwo falls and Glory gets both.
I am so impressed with the Scorpions right now. Yes, 2 of them are down, but the way that they've picked certain points up on the map and just dug their heels in, saying, we're not going to give you any extra space here. We're going to make sure that you guys play by our rules and in the zones that we want to take fights. And maybe they're forcing them, but the forcing thing is working at the moment. Of course, Barracuda's now in overtime, pushing up, and if they're able to get a fight here in this courtyard, they're going to be able to extend this game another point like they have in the past. These are the overtime killers, the Barracudas.
Yeah, absolutely. They are looking to be dangerous right now. Still on this point, not enough. value coming out for either team. Iris sitting on that Transcendence. Glory trying to get back to bomb as fast as possible. We're seeing the DPS ults coming up, but Shursty finds 3 on the Barracudas, and that could stop this entire push. Not Doomfist going to get rezzed by Gambler, but will it even be enough? Glory gets taken out by Shursty with the Dynamite. Nanoblade comes out of Avian, but it doesn't matter. That's overtime, and the Scorpions had a really successful hold on defense.
Wow. What an opportunity for the Scorpions to I mean, I really loved, like I said, the entire time, they weren't really giving anything to the Barracudas for free. And that's what I really loved, because there's a lot of situations that we saw last week where the Barracudas were able to win a fight and then kind of steamroll that by creating space into, a free point or free extra real estate. And the Scorpions throwing everything at them and not really giving too much up. And the fact that they were not even able to get a second point there speaks volumes about what, because we got to that inside third point every single time last week. And what a performance by Scorpions. The big thing here is, are they going to be able to follow it up with offense?
I really hope so. And the player to look out for the Scorpions tonight, I think, is going to be Shursty. We saw them single-handedly almost hold the point twice. Like, they had the most impact in those fights. Hands down, they got the most picks. It's just, they were an incredible asset there. Shursty looking very dangerous tonight, and I cannot wait to see what kind of picks they're able to get into this second half.
Well, I think a lot of it is going to come out really, really early in this point. The tone of this offensive series for the Scorpions is going to be determined pretty much right now, whether or not they're able to get an early pick or if they're going to be the ones picked and then it's subsequently stalled out here and trying to find any sort of, really ground to stand on. Niwo getting dropped early, and that is dangerous because their high ground presence is immediately taken away and really just left the Scorpions to try and fight looking up the whole time.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to push out of this position. I think it just comes down to the LOS of the healers here, that Winston just needs to wait a lot longer on the attack side before his healers can get in position, whereas the Barracudas, they've been set up for a minute. They're ready to go. So Scorpions just having to play for all of the space, whereas Barracudas just kind of get it for free here off of the spawn. And that's just how it be on defense. Glory looking to pepper into Iris, as now this high ground being contested by Scorpions. Niwo antied and low. Not going to get taken down just yet, though. Ooh, this is looking very bad for the Scorpions as Ana gets taken down. Now it's going to be a very, very easy sweep for Glory to take out the rest of this team, just having to chase down Niwo. Shursty takes down Avian still, though, before it's all over. Gambler able to finish off Shursty.
Big jumps across the board, and it seemed to me like the Scorpions were pushing that fight away from the payload a little bit, and unfortunately for them, they didn't necessarily have anybody sitting on that payload to try and get that free time off of it when that fight was away from it. And unfortunately for them now, they just didn't really get anything for all of that time in that fight. They're going to have to wait for some of these ultimates to come up, and they're going to be using them here as Avian dropping that one. Doomfist has that available and also going to be nanoing.
Glory got nanoed by not Doomfist there. Didn't even have to use the rampage, the monkey rampage there, as Big Dream just taking shots, also not using overclock, and Barracuda's just looking to stack ults. They're now on 3. Scorpions looking to counter. They're coming up on 4, and we are about to get into the first real team fight of this game. These ultimates stacking up. Shursty picking out Avian. Gambler taking out Iris. Still in the pre-stages. Next fight's the fight of the game. Next fight's the fight of the game, guys.
Well, 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the clock here, and so far Barracuda is putting up quite the fight on defense. It's as though this first area got that much more difficult for the offense to try and push through, and what a job Barracudas have done to really step up in a similar fashion that Scorpions did to make it difficult. But now a nice little push coming through from the Scorpions as the distracted Glory's all the way off the payload.
Oh, an overclock going to come out, as well as Glory jumping onto Niwo. That opens this fight up. Shursty gets taken down right before taking out Big Dream with that dynamite. And now Glory just maintaining this space as Scorpions are waiting for their own tank to get back to point.
And what a great job just, getting in their faces, not really having much cover other than this payload, and getting out in front of it, making sure that they're not able to really just sit on it, right, until they've got their own tank back into the mix. Niwo a little bit off there and having to wait that respawn game. But wow, now look, the 10-player kill streak coming through for Glory, and going to use that momentum through into some more, as this is absolute carnage. 3 members of Scorpion going down, and Barracuda's just, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Glory barely staying alive. A little bit help from the Big Dream, takes out Shirsty. Really, though, what I want to pay attention to again is the ult use here. I think that's really what's keeping things super hard for Scorpions, where it's Barracuda's just looking very clean with their ultimate usage. They're not using too many at once unless they really just have overtime like this. Glory going to take out Iris, and this could be it. The Scorpions not able to get back to this point except for Niwo. Niwo able to take out Glory. This could open things up, but Shirsty's down. Glory gonna have to come back from spawn. Big Dream on their way as well. Gambler finally takes out Niwo, and that could be it. It is, and that's gonna be game number 1, or game number 2 to the Barracudas as well. 2-0 in the series.
Let's take a look at this play of the game, see who really put together the most clean play, and this is going to be the Big Dream on that Sojourn. Let's take another look.
1 click. Where's the next click? Here it comes. Oh. He was able to click him eventually. Really excellent tracking. I was expecting another big headshot to come out from that right click. Unfortunately, that was not the case. But the Big Dream laying out some fantastic fire. And honestly, I think that the DPS line was so solid for the Barracudas. We saw Shirsty doing a great job to counter that from the Scorpions, but it just was not enough. And there was just more value from the ultimates on the Barracuda side. And Scorpions doing a really great job, especially compared to last week. They stepped up their game, I think, phenomenally. Shirsty, nasty on the play.
Absolutely, absolutely. As we said, the top 24 players in the Overwatch Esports Tower program. And if you want a chance to compete against players like this, make sure you go over to esportstower.com. There's a 2-week free trial where you're going to get an opportunity to have weekly games, coach VOD reviews, sessions where you're going to get to meet like-minded players. And it seems like such an amazing program. I wish that I could be a part of it. Alas, maybe a little bit too old.
Well,
but you high schoolers, you guys can definitely get in on the action. It's going to be an awesome time. I highly recommend taking a look. 2 weeks for free. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Esports Tower, our friends setting up this league, doing a fantastic job to bring you these matches here tonight. Like we said, this is the best of the competition that we have over at Esports Rumble. And I am super, super stoked to see how this all ends next week. Still one more semifinal game to go, and a couple more rounds in this if the Scorpions are able to turn things upside down and the Barracudas will start to lose their feet.
Well, let's go ahead and see. Looks like we do have game number 3 ready to rock and roll. Do we think the Scorpions are going to be able to pull something out here? And what do you think they have to be able to pull off to disrupt this dominant force that we have in the Barracudas?
Honestly, it's that word that you just said, disrupt. They have to somehow disrupt the ultimate use that the Barracudas have. They are just so clean with stacking these ultimates as a team, not overusing them. We see a lot too much, I think, sustain ultimates come out early from the Scorpions. And Barracudas are just, they wait until the absolute last moment, and then they're like, okay, now! And they hit their ultimate button, and it saves the entire team. And I think that Scorpions just use those ultimates in a good way. They just aren't finding as much value as the Barracudas are.
Yeah, and I like how you said that. Yeah, with the disruption. I mean, clearly everything that the Barracudas are doing, it's kind of playing by their tempo, right? And I mean, there was a little bit of that disruption as we saw from the Scorpions on defense. The fact that they held the Barracudas to a single point was, spoke volumes about their ability to start to come together and figure out a game plan and disrupt the Barracudas. But then you saw the Barracudas just turn that right back around, using every play that the Scorpions threw at them, and were able to use that exactly to their benefit the other way. And I mean, to the point where the Scorpions were unable to get that first point on their offensive play side. And I'm really interested to see what we're going to be, seeing out of the Scorpions. As far as team comps and, overall, it's they really do have to maybe throw a curveball, maybe do something that was a little bit unexpected. When you're down 2-0, you really just you stop playing by the rules. I mean, you still play by the rules, but you stop playing by the meta rules, right?
Yeah.
You maybe try and shake some things up and throw some curveballs. So we'll see exactly whether or not the Scorpions are able to do so here in game number 3. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, this is the first semifinal matchup of the Esports Tower Invitational. And it's going to be the Barracudas versus the Scorpions. Coming up next, we've got the Lynxes versus the Vipers, the unseen Vipers here on the Shenandoah Esports Network. But we'll have them coming up here shortly. Let's hop into the action.
Yeah, and we're also going to see the Scorpions now are going to be the red team, and the Barracudas are on blue. They did a little flippity-floppity between the matches, so just keep your eye on that. We're seeing, for the first time, Chum from the Scorpions stepping up to the ring as D.Va, looking to make their debut tonight.
Oh, I love that. I forgot to mention, yes, all teams do have a sub available if they want to use them, as 6 players were invited per each team to this invitational, and now Chum going to be stepping in there on the tank side of things. So great to get some fresh blood in there. Maybe that's the curveball they're looking for.
Maybe is correct. Glory, though, still staying consistent on Sigma, finding 2 very early on. Triplet, though, already has Nano. That's a big difference in comparison to not Doomfist sitting at 70%. Could be ready for the next fight, but Scorpions have the edge so far with this advantage of ultimate use in this height. Positioning is just so good. Playing a really, really poke comp here. That's, I think, why they decided to get Chum up on board for the Scorpions. That D.Va, you want to have that D.Va player be really good at D.Va. And they are just going to be looking to contest this high ground as much as possible, try and open up this space very slowly, but it's going to be very hard to do that with all of the interior space with other heroes like Winston, whereas D.Va just has way more control to get to this high ground. Glory, though, just maintaining space. Gambler as well, finding that pick on the Chum.
It also is pretty tough coming off the bench. You're a little bit cold. Maybe the other players, you're trying to find a little bit of rhythm with everybody. So Chum may be spending a little bit of this time just trying to find, get into that rhythm that the Scorpions had already created. And hopefully they'll figure it out not too late before the Barracudas really have put down too much of a lead for them to be able to overcome.
And Barracuda's looking very strong. They're stacking up all 5 ultimate. Scorpions right behind them, coming up on 3 here. This is going to be a massive fight. Glory getting ready with that lift. What's going to happen? What's going to go first? Triplet's going to go first, popping that Nano. Avian's going to take down both the supports on the Scorpions line, and that's basically the fight over already with just 1 ultimate. Actually, 3 ultimates, as we saw Nano and Transcendence get used from Gambler and Doomfist, though Barracuda's only 2 left. This is going to give Scorpions that advantage in the next fight. This is what I talked about earlier, needing to disrupt that ultimate use. We're seeing 4 ultimates now come up for Scorpions, whereas Barracuda's just reset 3 of their own.
Yeah, you say advantage in the next fight, but that certainly was a one-sided victory for the Barracudas, getting those quick picks and then able to really force back the Scorpions. And so far, this point, really, there's not been much production made, and it really needs to come down to a big team fight win.
Absolutely, and the Scorpions looking to collapse onto Glory, separated from this team. Not able to get them down yet, though, as Glory uses that lift. Gonna try and get as much value as possible. Iris had to use Transcendence. Chum gets taken down, and that's the tank on for the Scorpions. Barracuda is looking to hold this point even longer.
I'm such a big fan of this, is the way that they're continuing to hold up that defense, even if any of their members drop. everybody else continues to bob and weave and continue to play it safe to the point where there's really not an opportunity for the Scorpions to get a big team fight win, just a kind of, a pick here and there, and it's really not led to anything. And there you go, round 1 complete. What absolute domination on the defensive side of things.
So for anyone who was confused, the attackers were trying to get into that center of all those high grounds there. There was a point where on a hybrid game mode now. So basically once they capture this little square, a payload will spawn there, and they'll be able to take the payload through the rest of the map. We forgot to go through that a little bit earlier. Figured I'd let you in now on the secrets. Yeah, glory secrets. I want to know those, man. That position with Sigma is insane. He built up a single ult and held the entire point.
Unbelievable.
Just absolutely
and
unbelievable
now,
defense.
Barracuda's in a situation where they are sitting pretty.
Absolutely.
Not much work needing to be done on offense, and they've got so much time to get it done.
Yeah, and we're going to see the Scorpions having to pull out every single stop. They cannot let a single member stay on this point from the Barracudas. This point is one tick, and it's over.
This could be a very quick round, Josh.
Very, very quick indeed, unless the Scorpions are able to hold. I believe in them. I believe that they can do it. They just have to put all the good stuff we've seen together, figure out all the bad stuff that we've seen, and then they'll win.
And of course,
so
you just beat the undefeated team.
Beat the other team. But yeah,
but man,
that's way more difficult to actually do, as Barracudas are ready to try and claim victory tonight in this first semifinal game.
The Scorpions, they've obviously done a lot of really great work from week 1 to week 2 here moving into the semifinals. Barracuda's just looking completely dominant, so strong. You can't undo or not talk about the work that they've put in to get to the point where they are the team to beat so far in this tournament.
Yeah, and really, I think it's going to come down to how well Chum is able to hold the same angle that we saw Glory just not able to get pushed out of.
Well, as we know, Glory, our player of the week last week, so obviously doing something right here for the Barracudas. Already 5 incredible players, and to stand out amongst them, obviously Glory putting on the hurting to the enemies. And so far, nobody really getting an edge except for maybe positionally here as the Barracudas getting pushed back around to the side of this. Lots of damage down going on to Blank, and that's going to be a good start for the Barracudas.
Not just a start, this could be it as Triplet falls. That's one of the main supports for the Scorpions. Iris able to take out Big Dream. That's really big. Is it going to be enough, though, for the Scorpions? They have to stay here on this point. It's already 2 members of Barracudas are on it. Avian take out Shirsty. Glory does fall to Chum. Chum, absolute phenomenal player for that. Avian able to take out Chum. Not Doomfist, able to take out Iris. Now this looks like it's Barracuda's point, as we're seeing Scorpions race back and try to hold as long as they can, and that's going to do it. So the Barracudas are able to take control of the point. Wow. I
mean,
fast. Fast, like we said.
Like we said, it was going to be a fast second round if the Barracudas continued to play as they were. Let's go ahead and take a look at the play of the game from Avian on that Genji.
Yeah, and here it is. It's exactly what we just saw the tail end of. Avian able to take out Chum as Iris gets taken out by Not Doomfist with the assist from Avian, and Avian just staying on this point, staying mobile and doing damage. Just massive damage coming out of that Genji. Genji previously in Overwatch 1 you just never saw, but now in Overwatch 2 he's a new man. He's ready to take on some people. His Nano Blade is thirsty, man. He's ready to go, and I'm really excited that we are able to see it here tonight.
I'm here for it. Well, that is going to be the Scorpions eliminated from this tournament. The Barracudas have punched their ticket to the Grand Finals next week. Up next, we're going to see exactly who's going to be facing off against them between the Lynxes and the Vipers. But before we do that, we had a sit down with the head coach from Overwatch from Esports Tower, Casey, which we'll go to right now. We'll be back soon.
Hey y'all, it's Nikita, and I'm joined by Esports Tower's Casey Clayton to help everyone learn a little bit more about Esports Tower and their offerings in Overwatch. So, Casey, happy to have you here.
Pleasure to be here. How's it going today?
Fantastic. just to get a little more into yourself, tell me about yourself and specifically your role or roles in Esports Tower and Esports Tower Overwatch.
Absolutely. So first off, my name is Casey. I go by Apollo. I'm 29 years old. I'll actually be 30 here in just a few weeks. And I'm married to my beautiful wife, Sarah. We live about 30 minutes north of Dallas, Texas. And at Esports Tower, I am the manager of partnerships as well as the head coach for 2 of our game titles, and that's Fortnite and Overwatch. And as the manager of partnerships at Esports Tower, I reach out to colleges and universities like Shenandoah, for example, and try to create opportunities for our students to partner with great collegiate programs once they finish high school. And as a program head coach, my responsibilities are to care for my coaching staff as a whole and make sure that they have the tools that they need to successfully develop our students both in-game and in life.
So what does a regular week of Esports Tower Overwatch or Esports Tower Fortnite look like for someone in the program?
So for Overwatch, well, actually for any of our programs, whenever a student comes in, they're going to get assigned what we call pods, very similar to what most people think of as a team, but a pod might have more than just the people on one roster, for example. So you're going to have subs, everybody's going to be learning in a team environment, and then we'll do lots of drills and things like that. 1 week, we'll have at least 3.5 hours of coaching, dedicated practice time, and that'll be in 2 different sessions throughout the week. So for Overwatch, we have an 1.5-hour session where we talk about what we call our Esports Tower approach topics. And this Esports Tower approach is really where you get a lot of those other outside of the game skills that colleges look for when looking for a great student and a great player. And so we're going to be teaching things like how to combat burnout and how to be a good teammate and talk about leadership skills and things like that. And so that's going to be a part of every practice every week. But we have a dedicated time for about 15 to 20 minutes once a week at the beginning of that first 1.5-hour practice. And then we'll go into a VOD review and drills and things like that for the remainder of that practice. The second practice of the week is going to be a scrim block. And for Overwatch, that's a 2-hour scrim block. And you'll have live coaching during that time. So the coach is there with you along the way to help correct any mistakes and help you grow during that time.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I didn't expect it to be that full-fledged out, doing like a little bit of professional development, a lot of the competition side, VOD review. Yeah, that's fantastic. So how does someone go about joining Esports Tower if they're interested in competing in a title such as Overwatch?
Yeah, that is the question, right? So if you are interested in joining Esports Tower, just go to esportstower.com, select Overwatch, and then register to join. At that time, you'll be provided with a link to join our Discord server at that time. And then once you join the server, you'll be connected with our player experience manager, whose name is Jake, aka Rake in the server. And he will help you get assigned that team or pod, as we call them.
Yeah, that's great. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, so one of the things that we're really focused on right now is, as you see this Overwatch 2 content coming out right now, we are really focused on preparing our students for what's next. So joining the program today is fantastic, and we're going to get you the skills that you need to be successful early on in the days of Overwatch 2, once that's fully released.
Yeah, that's great to hear. It's been great having you, Casey. As always, I'm Nikita, and let's get back to the action.
You want to rank up in Overwatch or Valorant? Score pro advice at esportstower.com. Improve your game sense, improve your team play, improve your performance under pressure. We'll match you with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up.
Welcome back to this week's Esports Tower Rumble in Overwatch. We are broadcasting from the Shenandoah University Esports Arena. My name is Xander Merle-Smith. I'm joined by Josh Cunningham. Josh, we saw the first semifinal. Incredible job by the Barracudas. Now we're going to step up and see the Vipers and the Lynxes. And I mean, let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket. As we saw, Barracudas in very convincing fashion taking down the Scorpions. The Vipers, we didn't actually get to see any of them last week. They played a little bit off stream. They came out 2-1, and the Lynx were able to go 1-2. So really interesting matchup. Vipers only team, as I said earlier tonight, the only team to take a game off of the Barracudas. And so you have to wonder, these unseen Vipers, are we going to see something really special? Or do we think the Lynx, who put a lot of work in, it sounded like they gained a lot of momentum from, and honestly, morale from that victory over the Scorpions last week. Do we think that we're going to see, a different Lynx team tonight?
I really hope so. The coaches have said this is the most momentum based team in this league so far. So I'm really excited to see how that momentum continues to build. Or will the Vipers be able to bring a stop to it tonight before finals? I don't know, man, but semifinals are looking to be heating up. The Vipers are a very strong team coming into this competition. Unfortunately, not able to get any visuals on them last week. However, this week, we're about to see some really good players. All of these, well, not all these players, but some of these players have played on previous teams outside of Esports Tower and now are here in this competition to bring similar success that they've found outside of it. So I'm really excited to see what the Vipers bring to the table, and if the Lynx are able to continue to build this momentum and apply all that pressure directly onto the Vipers and break that snake.
Absolutely. And of course, we've got that game coming up next, but before we jump into that, I want to take a moment to congratulate all of the Esports Tower members who have graduated from the clubs and have been offered scholarships across the country. Over the last 3 months, Esports Tower club members have received over $1.6 million in scholarship awards. These students have not only worked hard on their in-game play, but worked hard academically and have earned these scholarship opportunities. The players on this list are talented, hardworking, and driven, and we could not be more excited and proud to see the opportunities these players are getting. Congratulations to all those. And you saw that on screen, $230,000 in Overwatch scholarships alone, a part of the $1.6 million.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Incredible stuff that Esports Tower is doing for these players. And I think you guys should definitely check out esportstower.com to go get a part and go see what all the action's about. You saw from those advertisements, you get weekly VOD reviews, competition, one-on-ones with coaches. It seems like a really great atmosphere that they're building over there, and you get to see it firsthand with the play that we saw earlier and now have coming up tonight. And speaking of which, we've got our next matchup ready. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be hopping into the Vipers versus the Lynxes here momentarily, and this is going to be an exciting one to watch because, I mean, as I said before, Vipers, I haven't been able to see any of their gameplay yet. It sounds like they're a very, very scary team based off of what I heard and the statistics that I saw from week number 1. And not to mention, the Lynxes, I got to hand it to them the way that they performed valiantly against the Scorpions there, getting delivered a very, convincing defeat from the Barracudas in their first matchup of week number 1, and then coming back and it wasn't even, actually, I'll take that back. It wasn't convincing. It was basically the Barracudas stole that first match from them, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
In game number 1, they basically sniped the overtime win from them in game 1. I think maybe even in game 2. So
yeah, it was close games both times around, and absolutely, they just stepped up to the plate. The Barracudas yoinked it right from under the Lynx. The Lynx, they definitely earned it, don't get me wrong, but they did take it out from right under the Lynx noses, and now these Lynx are looking to kind of put their paw down and say, no more.
Oh, I see
We're
what kind of
winning
night
tonight.
it's going to be.
Yeah,
You're here with the animal puns tonight. I got you.
break
I
the
got
snake,
you.
it's the pun. Yeah,
I'm here for it, Josh. I'm here for it. I appreciate you bringing that to the table.
All right, but the Vipers, very dangerous tonight. The Lynx building that momentum will the Vipers be able to slow it down? Let's find out, as here we are again on Colosio. And both teams going to be running similar comps to what we saw in the last match. However, we're seeing Ame pull out the Creep and Bonesaw on the Junkrat. So very interesting. Let's see how these players these characters kind of affect this map and change how these fights go. Bonesaw able to take out the tank for the Vipers very fast, and Flaton just gone. And now that's going to open up this fight for the Lynx, looking to push forward. Diamond Dog on Reinhardt, looking to take this space.
Yeah, Diamond Dog, one of the players that we were watching last week, very, very influential in the game, especially on that Reinhardt. And this is actually the same tank matchup that we saw from the first semifinal match, the Junker Queen versus the Reinhardt. And interestingly enough, already the Junker Queen is going to be the first one to drop, and now the Lynx starting to get into a little bit of trouble as they try and turn this corner. Vipers with a lot of damage down onto that particular area, and they're going to hold pretty strong here on this defensive side of things until the Vipers start to fall themselves. And wow, what a response from the Lynx.
Yeah, absolutely. Diamond Dog pushing forward, already almost at that ult. Bonesaw ahead of him just a little bit, there. Already has that ultimate. This Riptire going to come out. Lyric gets taken down, and this fight basically going to the Lynx already just based on these ults alone. Panda just not going to be up from spawn yet. Now Overclock, 3 ults up on the board. Lynx getting ready with
Oh, and here's that Riptire. The coaches did say that anybody that doesn't take a look or doesn't respect the Riptire from Bonesaw is going to pay the price, and that's going to be one down onto Lyric, and that's going to be a little bit of help there for the Viper, for the Lynx. I'm sorry.
We can see how these picks on Lyric are just really opening this up. Bonesaw able to do it twice in a row now, and there's just no one to contest the point. The robot's just moving for free. The team fights are already in the spawn. Not anymore. The Lynx are able to come back on the point now, pushing forward, taking the space back. Diamond Dog laying down the hurt onto this backline. Lyric able to take out Mango. Mango and Panda taking out Diamond Dog. Ame has that ult ready for Lynx.
Oh, of course, we would have a Pando and a Panda.
A Pando and a Panda and a Mango. There's no one else, though. That's it.
All right, we're good.
That's it. But again, Ame, the only one on the field with the ult right now. Toasty Rapid's going to look to counter it with that beat. Once that gets popped in, here comes both Window and the High Noon. Beat not even up yet. Ame going to find Bladon, and that's going to open this fight up again for the Lynx, who are going to be looking to just push forward, take all this space, and Diamond Dog just at the head of it.
Wow, despite not seeing any of the Vipers play last week, the Lynx able to really start this game off strong. And now we've got to mention that they started off last week's push game mode very, very strong. They basically had the lead until the last second. So what I'm going to be looking for the Lynx is whether or not they're going to be able to not only get this lead, they've got it, but how are they going to be able to hold on to it as we get to the second half of this game? It seemed like they had a little bit of attrition issues as they started to get worn down a little bit by the Barracudas last week, and even again by the Scorpions. So we'll see if the Vipers are able to hold strong and maybe start to pull together some one-team fights and really put together, you know, a little bit of offense here, because basically the Vipers have had to play defense this entire game so far. And now we just are down past the 6-minute mark.
Ooh, and there comes the first offensive ultimate, as that's going to put out a lot of anti-heals and open up the fight. And that's a one fight just from that one ultimate coming out of Junker Queen on Bladon. Absolute massive anti-heal there. Able to find almost everyone on the team. Lucio just trying to stay alive with Shirsty. Not Shirsty, I mean Panda. And the Vipers now have control at this point, able to push forward. Ultimate's ready, and they're looking to be dangerous again, trying to get that payload, trying to get that wall underneath that first bridge, trying to mirror what we saw in the first game with the Barracudas and the Scorpions. Both of them were able to get that objective past the first checkpoint, and that's where things really started to become much more difficult. So we'll probably see the same thing here, unless the Lynx just have a much better hold.
Yeah, a little bit of life finally from the Vipers here as they have now pushed over the 5-minute mark. And like you said, pushing around this corner, facing that high ground with the bridge, that's going to be the real test as to whether or not the Vipers are going to be able to get any sort of ground here on the Lynx. And as we say that, 2 members falling, a third one in Bladon. a third will finally fall, and now Viper is going to need to run for the hills as the Lynx are able to really curb that push right around the same spot. They were held for a while and then eventually broke through, but they've got a little bit more experience on that breakthrough now as they turn that corner once again. And what a quick movement they've got, since they're not pushing that block. That robot's going to be right up back into the spot that they were, and they're going to be into a great spawn position as well, not to pass that checkpoint. And this is a good look for the Lynx as they're going to continue this. Now 2 down, Toasty Rapids and Lyric fall. Bladon is also going to fall. And now Mafasi and Panda Squad are in trouble as the Lynx, all alive, all continue the push. And boy, are they a happy bunch as they're going to continue to break this lead wide open.
And the Vipers, no defensive ultimates anywhere up on the horizon as Ame Mango both coming up on theirs. Ame popping that high noon right now. Is there going to be any value from it? Gets anti-healed by Bladon's ult, but not going to be enough. Ame able to take out Lyric, and there's the team fight. Toasty Rapids able to get the boop off onto Bonesaw. Panda able to find Ame. Diamond Dog looking to respond, though, turn things back in her team's favor. And there it is. Panda gets taken down, and this could be it as Bladon back into this fight. Now Moira just looking to support this brawl up in the front. As Lyric jumps into the back, Vipers now taking back this high ground. Mango going down. It's going to be tough for Diamond Dog, left all alone. Probably going to fall here, and that's a very hard stagger. Really strong advantage going to the Vipers now as they're coming back with the robot, trying to get under that bridge. Lynx coming around with Earth Shatter. No other ultimates on the horizon. Vipers ready to make something happen on this push.
And they're going to need to make something happen indeed, and fast, because it takes a while for that robot to push the block, and it is tough. With only 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock, they're essentially going to need to use all of that time on offense and then maybe a little bit into overtime if they're going to make something push forward. And the Vipers absolutely demolished there by the Lynx. 4 down, Panda Squad running away. As what a job by the Lynx. And now the space created, the robot pushing up around that little loop, and this is exactly where you want to be if you're the Lynx, because you don't need to spend all that time on the loop. You can just basically have one person sitting on there, and the rest of the time you're just sitting there, making it really tough for the Vipers.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing an insane fight come down as Bladon switched over to Reinhardt just to brawl it out even better here in this last fight. But Diamond Dog pushed forward, held the line, took the space, and did not let it go despite being down to, I think, less than 50 HP at one point. Just an absolute insane push, very ballsy, and I'm very happy that that worked out for the Lynx as Mafazi's able to come in with an ult now, shut down this push. Bonesaw opening up that last fight, having to leave now, though, as his Rip Tire is ready. Vipers actually turning this around, but the Lynx looked very strong for a second. It could have closed it out on that fight.
I mean, the Lynx basically, if you push that block over onto its side, they've won. I feel like it's a nice capstone on this game type if that were to happen. Of course, we haven't seen that yet in any of our matches here at the Esports Tower Invitational, but I would be super interested to see whether or not the Lynx are able to close this one out prior to the time elapsing. The Vipers looking to make what essentially is their final push, because if a big wipe comes here, the Lynx can spend all that time just making it impossible for them.
Oh, okay. I thought Bonesaw got a pick with that junk tire there, but it's actually just going to take out the eye field from BAP. But Diamond Dog taking advantage with Mango pushing forward off of the scare that tire kind of gave Vipers. It came from across the map as we saw Bonesaw hard dip using his mine, and then just pop his tire like literally a mile away and drive it all the way over to the other team. And now the Lynx are back in the spawn. It worked out phenomenally, able to stay alive, and Bonesaw just so much value from that tire. Even though it only took out an eye field, it was the perfect distraction. Ame taking out Mafazi. Mango going down to Panda. It's very intense here at the spawn doors. Now they're trying to take out this Lucio. Panda does take out Pando. Panda also finds Ame, and that's going to flip things back over for the Vipers, who are still in this. Now in overtime, they have to push it basically to victory on this push, or it goes to the Lynx.
Yeah, and I mean, basically, as I was saying, with a minute left, that was their last push. Of course, they're able to regain control of the objective there as the clock went 2-0. And as you said, they have to stay on that objective the entire time. Otherwise, that overtime will tick down to nothing. The Lynx will take the victory. Vipers have so much work to do as the Lynx have been really, really tough here on defense so far, but already 2 of them on either side have fallen, so it's going to be up to the last 3 members of either squad to take whatever remaining members are alive down. Mophacy and Toasty Rapids still trying to put in whatever work they can. Toasty Rapids going down, Mophacy's going to go down, and if Mophacy falls, that will be it.
And there in that last team fight, it was all Bonesaw. Came in with the Bonesaw, hacked up the team with his mines and everything, and just ran right through him there. Just phenomenal job from the Lynx, and here's the play of the game, actually coming from Panda as Tracer. Panda doing a phenomenal job getting so many picks here. It's going to be this play we saw earlier just now when they took out Mango, immediately followed by taking out Lucio. Those 2 support picks opened this up, allowed them to turn that wall around, gave them the overtime. Unfortunately, it was not enough, but Panda had the play to give them the opportunity.
Absolutely. And, you know, you really just can't put yourself in that kind of hole that late in the game and expect to try and make that kind of last-second push. And that's kind of the situation they've put themselves in. And I don't even know if they put themselves in it. The Lynx really just forced their hand the entire time. There were some severely convincing team fights won on the side of Lynx. Anytime the Vipers took one single step onto their side, it seemed like it was just a pincer movement to collapse, and it was essentially a team kill almost every time.
Yeah, and Diamond Dog just leading the charge, taking up so much space, never hesitating. You just always saw them charging forward, even to the spawn doors almost getting them killed, still staying alive, and almost winning the game on that one push. So just a fantastic job from the Lynx in game number 1. And will the Vipers be able to flip this around, or will that momentum continue into game number 2? As we heard from the coaches earlier, Lynx are the momentum team, and it is building.
Absolutely. And, you know, if you're enjoying this action, I'll remind you once again, make sure to check out Esports Towers, basically all of their socials. If you take a look, check out Esports Tower. That's going to be Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all of them. And you're going to be able to find more action like this week in and week out. And while you're at it, make sure to check out Shenandoah Esports on Twitch and YouTube as well, and Shenyu Esports on all of those socials, because we're going to be bringing that action to you every single week at 6 p.m. Eastern right here. So make sure to tune back in, follow a bunch of those. Go do it right now. And you'll be able to tune in every single week with us for a lot more of this Overwatch 2 action. And anyways, I mean, what do we think? I mean, the Vipers, the coaches were saying the Lynx were a very momentum-driven team, and boy, do they have the momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the Lynx have a very strong shot at making it back to grand finals to challenge the Barracudas in the grand finals there. Looking very strong in semifinals. They were able to get that last win in last week on the Scorpions, and that gave them this kind of confidence reset after losing so close games to the Barracudas. And they were this close, so there is a chance that if the Lynx are able to make it through the night and Vipers are not going to put a stop to them, that they could have that chance again at taking down the Barracudas in grand finals. And I think that would be an amazing storyline if that happened, but the Barracudas are very tough competition, and they still have to get through the Vipers.
They still have not been beaten, and that's true. Yeah, the Lynx and the Vipers are going to be facing off in game number 2. Do we think that the Vipers have what it takes to overcome that momentum-driven team, or will the Lynx continue to drive through into the grand finals? Let's hop into game 2 and find out.
I feel like we're coming up against, if the Lynx do win this, okay? If they do win this, we're going to come against a unstoppable force in the Lynx.
Observers going shopping right now at the markets.
Of course.
Sorry, go on.
So, with the Lynx, I kind of forgot what I was going to say. I'll say it next week when it's important for grand finals. Here we are in this game, and actually, Bladon's just going to be taking free space on this payload. They're just not set up yet. Diamond Dog really far behind. I'm not quite sure what happened. This is a late start to this game, and the attackers are already underneath, halfway to the first checkpoint.
I mean, that's maybe a defensive mistake, or or otherwise, but that is a very,
An
very
off-meta strategy?
maybe. I'm not sure. You know, giving up almost the entire first point. Not in love with the off-meta strategy, but the Vipers are going to take advantage of it.
Bonesaw finds 2 as well as Ame takes out 1, and that's the Vipers basically back to spawn already. It didn't matter too much, but that's a lot of space that they just gave to the Lynx for free.
You know what? They'll take back a little bit of that space as nobody from the Vipers sitting on the payload at the moment. But yeah, certainly a startling beginning to this game from the Lynx. Maybe not really figuring out what they wanted to do in this position on defense and maybe making a late call and having to relinquish that space without having any players from their team fall. And that certainly can happen in the chaos of a LAN and these players all being in the same room together and trying to figure out their gameplay for the next game. But now we see as the Vipers continuing to try and push through here, and they are getting a little bit of distance as one player going down from either squad. And now just 2 minutes and 15 seconds left for this first point, so plenty of time for the Vipers to get a little more time on the clock.
Absolutely. And we are seeing Diamond Dog try and hold this space as the Monkey Pando putting in those pot shots from far away with Mango on the assist. Ame, though, just holding it down as Hanzo. We already saw him use 1 Dragons, and he's back up to 50% charge. He's going to be ready to use that ultimate probably in the next team fight if he keeps this consistent performance up.
Hello.
And here we go. As we see the Vipers continuing to try and get a little bit of space here, the Lynx have now really started to find their ground as they started to push up a little bit and maintain. Well, actually, not even really pushing up. They've maintained this one little area, and I don't think the Vipers have figured out what to do off the back of that early start that they were able to get. Basically, the free space, and now finally making the decision to pour down this stairway. And they're going to meet quite a lot of bullets from Lynx.
And Bonesaw actually using the ult to just keep that space from being pushed. Diamond Dog also popping Rampage there, just going crazy on that Toasty Rapids Zenyatta in the back. Bonesaw able to find a hammer kill onto Lyric. They actually traded, which is fair. That's fair. That's fair. All right. He hammered it, but traded it back. We're good. We're back to even. That just didn't happen, guys. Torbjorn on will be right back from spawn in a moment. But Ame looking to just keep this space as Panda trying to counter with their own Hanzo pick now. And ultimates are stacking up on both sides. 2 defensive ultimates versus a sustain. Here's the sustain pop from the Vipers. That's going to be Monkey Rampage. Mango going to be holding on to that Nano. Probably wait until after this happens, or using it as a defensive ult try shut down something that the Vipers are about to come up with, and they're coming up on Nano Blade. Transcendence gets popped. Diamond Dog finds 2 right beforehand, though. This could be a really bad Transcendence as Mafazi. They're just going all in. Vipers don't care. They decided this is the push that we're making, and Mafazi is doing it. Not going to get enough, though, as Bonesaw and Diamond Dog are able to turn around and put a stop to that push, and the Lynx just, wow. I can't believe that they just didn't show up for the first bridge. They're like, you guys get the bridge. The bridge is yours. That's good. We don't need the bridge.
We've got our own plan.
All right, we got our plan. Like I said, off-meta strategy. That's what they're pulling out, and that's why Diamond Dog on that main tank is so good. Just knowing those off-meta strategies. Like, guys, wait. What if we waited? All right, and then they push through for free to the first point, right? So they're not warmed up anymore, but we're tracking each other in spawn. So when we go into the fight, we're warmed up and ready. All right, that's definitely what happened, and
that's
now...
Right. You know what? We're gonna give the benefit of the doubt to the Lynx because they were able to absolutely just set up a wall right where they needed to. And, yeah, it wasn't a mistake. It was all by design.
Absolutely.
And here we are now, Lynx not needing a whole lot to take map number 2. We'll see if they're able to use that momentum still moving forward. And get a nice little push, or if the Vipers are going to give up that free space, I don't think they'll be as kind.
No, I do not think so, especially with how close that payload would be to the end goal now, as that threshold has moved so much closer in this game. It's so much more intense for the Vipers. Semifinals, we didn't get to see them last week. We've seen them here. And so far, they just are not able to put up what they need to on the board. Will they be able to flip it around on defense, though, and continue to keep the Lynx at bay in a similar way? These are very, very competitive teams, and it's entirely possible. And we're right into it now. Vipers on defense and the Lynx pushing in.
Vladon already going to take a fair bit of damage. Going to go ahead and rebuild up that armor, though. Oh, but once again, getting into a situation where nearly going down, and the Lynx really taking up that space almost immediately. What a job by them to open up really, really strong and kind of create some chaos for the Vipers. Viper's not really sure where to defend at the moment as they're coming from behind them, but Bonesaw's going to fall. That's a nice pick for the Vipers. That should slow down the aggression from the Lynx a little bit, but again, they've got so much time to not get all that far into the first point.
Yeah, I mean, Panda doing a great job shutting down that Pharmacy's first push, but that Pharmacy is not gone. It's still up. Bonesaw back already and at 90% of the way to Justice. This could be very bad for the Vipers. If Lynx are able to get their ults and they just decide to all hit Q at the same time, Vipers could just get evaporated and there's nothing they'll be able to do about it. So they're going to have to stack up those ultimates, really rely on that Zenyatta Transcendence already at 80%. The Lynx not having as good of a defensive ult as Transcendence, but Valkyrie does come out from Pando, and now Bonesaw is going to use that extra damage to try and do as much as possible.
Boy.
Ame gets 1. Bonesaw finds 3, though, using the Justice, and this is exactly what they needed to do, and that is the game. It just came down to the ults. Like I said, as soon as the Lynx build enough of them, they hit that Q button, it's over. They only needed the 1, and that was Justice from Bonesaw.
Ame
going
to be able to take the play of the game, stealing it away from Bonesaw there with that really great missile barrage.
Yeah, and this is going to be from the Lynx defensive side, where we saw them hold 3 minutes after letting it get the payload get pushed all the way under bridge. A phenomenal hold from Lynx. I did not expect that to happen, especially after the initial blunder not being set up for the attack, but they just had the momentum. They're like, we got it. Let's do it. And they did it. It's insane. They are a team to watch out for heading into grand finals if the Vipers just cannot turn this around in the next game.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, they did the work they needed to on defense to the point where all they needed to do was stick around and wait for all those ultimates to build up. They got that 1 pick, and then Boy coming around the corner with the missile barrage. Bonesaw just, laying down a world of hurt. And if you do enough of that damage right up front, taking out some of the supports and DPS, the tank's not going to stop 4 more people left alive with potentially more ults coming. So really nice job from the Lynx to continue this really great run they're making here in the semifinals. I'm really surprised, especially off the back of, and this is actually interesting to note, the fact that they weren't able to take a game off the Vipers in the group stages. The Vipers did end up beating them 2-0, so the fact that they're able to come out and now beat them 2-0, that just speaks worlds about not only the coaching, but the way that these players have taken a look at everything that they may have done wrong in some of those games and turned it around. I mean, just an incredible performance from the Lynxes. And like you said, if they are able to push through one more game against the Vipers, which, you're on match point in a best of 5 already with the other team not having any games. That is a very tough position for the Vipers to be in because they essentially have to win the next 3 to make it to the grand finals.
Yeah, and that is going to be a tall order, but will it be too tall for them, or will they rise to the occasion as we are going into the next game number 3? Oh my gosh, I'm very excited. We're moving into Hybrid yet again. We saw Hybrid be the deciding point last time, and now it's the deciding factor this time. However, we're on Eichenwald instead, an OG map, one of my personal favorites from Overwatch 1, one of the first maps I scrimmed on, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, so just a neat fact about the map.
I think it's more of a neat fact about you than the map.
What? All right. Anyways, though, we're going to be seeing a really, really good match here. I'm very excited to see how the Vipers respond. They have to say something back. They have to. This is their last opportunity in this competition. If the Lynx do not come out victorious, that changes. They get more opportunities. But right now, they have used all the free chances, and this is it. We are down to the last bit.
Yeah, and as we were talking to the coaches, they said that the Vipers looked great in their group stage games early on, but then they had a couple of issues later into those games, and they were worried about maybe some of those lingering moving into the semifinals here. And so that may be the case here in those first 2 games, and maybe this game 3 will be enough for them to sort of shake off some of those issues that maybe came in late in those group stage games. They spent a lot of time diving into those strats and in the gameplay heading into this matchup. So we'll see if they're able to turn it around here in game number 3, but the Lynx have really, really been super strong in this matchup so far. Not much giving to the Vipers, besides, of course, a lot of that point in game number 2.
Absolutely. And I wanted to point out real quick that the Lynx are actually running an Overwatch 2 ball comp, and that is incredible. The first ball we're seeing here in Esports Tower, Ball is one of the most fun characters in the game. You just roll around, jump head above something, and then slam down onto it and do a ton of damage. It's really fun, very important to utilize. Great teamwork. We're seeing Ame take on that Tracer role. They're going to be looking to push around the map together, and now they also have Bonesaw with that Sojourn. Sojourn going to make this comp so much better. Now you have 2 characters very similar to Tracer. You have Tracer, obviously, and you have Sojourn, who's able to just get so much mobility, like we saw there, that slide, just launching them around this map. And if you have enough people running around with that ball, there's nothing that can stop the amount of damage that comes out of those 3.
And one of the things I love about the ball is it's very chaotic, right? If you're able to use the movement on that character really, really well, then it can create a lot of chaos, which is kind of what they've been doing. They've been living in the trenches with the Vipers, creating the chaos and trying to confuse them into taking fights that maybe necessarily they don't want to take. And so I think Diamond Dog on this ball is a really great idea, especially at least through the first ultimate here. And we'll see if there is a swap off after that. But I'm really enjoying watching a little bit of the chaos that this player is creating.
And the Vipers stacking up almost all of their ults, only using Window to get on the point. Lynx stacking up their own as well. But the Vipers did take control of point number 1. Now we're basically on a payload map, except there's only 2 objectives for them to push through. The Lynx now have this great high ground to take advantage of that they didn't have previously. It's going to be awesome for Ball to get these initial slams off, but it's going to be much more difficult for Diamond Dog to get back into position. And here she is already at half HP. Trying to go back in, get some heals just beforehand. Ame going to be in the Tracer 1v1. Nothing going to come out of it just yet. Bonesaw just trying to assist Diamond Dog in any way they can. As a Viper just pushing through the high ground. Lift's going to come out from Bladon. I don't know how much value is going to get him from it just yet. Not anything really other than taking that high ground space, but that could be what wins them this round as Mafasi and Panda use that high ground to take out both supports from the Lynx. And there goes Bonesaw as well, and the Vipers are looking very strong in this push.
Absolutely. You're going to take 3 members down from the Lynx. That's going to give you opportunities to get a little bit more. Still with 3 ultimates on the side of the Vipers. So not a lot of econ, so to speak, used for the Vipers to get that additional distance in that team fight. And they're going to be able to use that here coming up in the next fight as the Lynx only have the one on Ame here. And it's going to be able to, give them opportunities to create more space and continue this along because, the Lynx have really done a great job just halting the Vipers in their tracks, and to be able to use momentum and continue to not let the Lynx dig in is going to be really everything for the Vipers here in game number 3.
Yeah, that high ground was all the Vipers needed to get this point to this payload to the door of the second point. And now the pressure is on the Lynx to stop this payload here. 2 minutes left on the clock. You don't want to let the Vipers add any more. That looks like what is going to happen, though, as Diamond Dog gets taken out by Mafasi with the assistance of Bladon and Toasty Rapids. And Ame going to try and just maintain for the Lynx as much as possible on this Tracer. There's just so much damage coming out and so much pressure from the Vipers, though, and they're going to get this all the way to it. Yes, absolutely. There it is. Checkpoint number 2 going over to the Vipers. That's another minute on the clock. They got their time back, and now they're moving towards the final push of Eichenwald, putting a lot of pressure on Diamond Dog, who has to just give so much space, even though the Lynx team is all there.
I'm really loving the way the Vipers are sticking together here. You see turning this corner, met with a wall of bullets, and the way that they're just continuing to stay together, not really creating 1v1s, knowing that their power is in their numbers. And especially when they get a pick like this, Diamond Dog falling, Viper's going to continue to try and ride that out, as this payload has not stopped moving essentially for the past 2 minutes. And they've done a really, really nice job in this opening bout against the Lynx, who have been so strong.
And Mango trying to keep the Lynx alive with that ultimate. Gonna find two, but Bladon popping off, finds two of their own with Toasty Rabbits taking out Pando as well. This is so big for this fight. Diamond Dog coming back from spawn just now, almost at Earth Shatter. That could be what changes this fight's momentum. Bladon getting very close to lift again. Ame takes out Lyric, but Bladon's just doing so much damage. Finds two more. Mafazi taking out Ame, and now Panda Squad just trying to help. As Diamond Dog uses the Shatter, it's not going to be enough. That block saving at least a few members of Viper's team. Pando finds two of their own, but not... Is it going to be enough? It actually might be, as the Vipers had to push off a point, and Pando finds another with the Lucio.
Wow. And now finally the Vipers, or the Lynx, get a moment to breathe, but I'm sure not for long.
5 meters
when the
left.
Vipers are going to pour right back into this point. Oh my goodness, they are just inches away from securing that third point and getting a little bit of extra time there to boot if this does end up going to extra innings.
Diamond Dog trying to play this corner. We're now seeing Bladon switch over to the Reinhardt, diving into the backline, taking out Bonesaw. Actually, Bladon is able to, as Diamond Dog had to leave. Bladon gets the counter as well, and that could be this fight going over to the Vipers. Diamond Dog not getting the value they wanted out of that charge. Ooh, the stick!
Boy,
but it's not going to be enough! Ame popping the high noon, and now there's another stick! Mafazi's going to trade it! Diamond Dog back alive, and this is turning back in Lynx's favor. Toasty Rabbits looking to turn it back in the Viper's favor, though. This is intense. All-out chaos. Pando just staying alive on point for so long. Bladon finally able to take him down.
Oh my
gosh.
goodness. Wow. Ame trying to sneak that high noon through that little
so
corridor.
close.
It would have been so cheeky to get some free kills through there, but unfortunately for him, he was spotted out and is going to end up going down. And oh my goodness, what a stand by the Lynx there at the final, inches to stop them at 0.12 meters. I mean, that literally is inches left. But oh my goodness, the Vipers relentless in the final point. I mean, they really did all the way through from getting that first, checkpoint to the very end. They looked like the Lynx have looked up until that point in the past games. So really, really excited the way that the Vipers have responded to that offensive, nature that the Lynx have been really hitting them with constantly. It really looked like the Vipers were the ones that were doing the disrupting, and now they've got some points to show for it. So now finally, we're seeing some life from the Vipers, actually, with points to show for it. And we'll see if they're able to do that same thing on defense, because if they're able to take even just one game off of the Lynx, it's a completely different story. We heard that the Lynx, as we've been saying from the coaches, that they were the very momentum-based team. You take a little bit of air out of that momentum, all of a sudden, that team might crumble. So Vipers finally with a little bit of life. We'll see if they'll be able to take another brick out of their castle that they've built here with that 2-0 lead.
Yeah, absolutely, and things are already popping off as the Lynx are at point, ready to go. Viper's not doing a very close hold, and they're going to look to try and take this side room here. Bonesaw able to take out Bladon. That could open this up very quickly. Also taking out the I-field. Massive Panda going to find Mango, though, who already used I-field. That's big, taking out that I-field completely stops all incoming damage for a short amount of time for players in its zone. So the very big ability to take out early, and just really, really great trades there. But the Lynx just straight onto the point. They didn't take a break. They took out Bladon, and they just took it. They're just like, this is our point. Bladon's back, though, and like, not yet. It's mine. You still have a % to go. It's my point. Panda, get over here. Hit some heads on Mango. Lyric, take out that turret. And here we go. This team's back in action. Vipers doing a very good defensive hold, although giving away 2 ticks quite quickly. Not good, but the Vipers looking strong, building ultimate, and they could have a very successful hold now.
You know what? I think that it's not necessarily something you look at like, oh, well, you know, they gave up 2 ticks in this instance. They're that much closer to giving up the first point. I really think it is how you set the tone for the rest of the round, right? Where
we didn't let you take that point.
What's that?
We stopped you from taking that point.
Ha
You
ha.
didn't take the point.
That's right. So they stopped them from taking that point, right? And not only that, but in this last third, if they're able to continue to contest it, to take time off the clock, that really, you know, because stopping an entire point, we've only seen that from the Barracudas tonight, and that was, you know, just all around some of the best defense we've seen here in the group stages and the semifinals combined, right? So it's a tall order to say that they're not ever going to do it. It's just how well you defend that point in general. Even if you do end up giving it up, you can still, like, a win is still taking that much time off the clock. So really, really like how they've responded here in, you know, just defending against the Lynx and taking this first point, because we said, you know, they hadn't taken in that first 2 points yet, or they had taken those first 2 points. Look how long it's taken them to get the third.
Yeah, it's taken quite a long time. Lynx back on the point now. It's contested. That Shatter going to go, actually, I think, underneath the shield, breaking this fight up for a half second. Bonesaw able to take out Mufazi during it. And now the Lynx still contesting this point. But the Vipers are slowly getting pushed off. Panda takes out Toasty. That's when the support's gone. Bladon gets taken out. And now things are really opening up for the Lynx as there it is. They took the point, got the last takeoff, and now they're moving this payload back and trying to get to the end as fast as they can. They have to beat 38 seconds or get it to the third checkpoint. The Vipers not quite able to push it all. Oh, no, they were able to push it all the way. Vipers did get the attack all 3 points off. So the Lynx, yeah, they just have to push it all the way, and they don't have a whole lot of time to do it. 3 minutes. They could definitely win it here. It's going to be very close, though, as Diamond Dog jumping into the action.
And that's an interesting point to think about is, you know, from your IGL, how long do you have your team continuing to defend a very early on, already first point taken early payload, right? Do you continue to try and bleed through with just, you know, tripping up their team, not really letting them get any sort of, you know, foothold on that payload? Or do you kind of relinquish some space, collect yourself as a team, and then make an official stand a little bit further down the road? And, well, it's not when or if, but when you make that call. And finally, it looks like they've decided to slowly push back down. And now look at that. 4 members of the Lynx getting thrown up into the air. What a nice, really funnel
Pando.
for that.
Yeah, it was a really great lift, but Pando had the defensive ultimate ready with beat, able to drop it just in time. Bladon gets denied, but, you know, at least they don't have beat now, so when Hanzo gets these dragons up, it's going to be much harder for the Lynx to sustain. And Lynx just trying to push this high ground and take the Vipers off of it like the Vipers did to them quite quickly. And it's just not going to be happening as fast. 1:40 left on the clock. Like I said, that time flies by really fast. Just under 2 minutes left. 1 minute to match the Vipers. And they are now just getting through this high ground. And Bladon's going to get taken down. Diamond Dog able to get the hammers off, get those swings in. We're seeing Molten Core come up for Lynx with Bonesaw getting ready to put this ult in, trying to maintain this space here, secure this checkpoint. 1 minute left on the clock. Going to try and add an extra minute, 30 seconds here. Ame using the high noon, and no one's going to peek him. That's going to be a wasted ultimate, unfortunately. Bonesaw, though, and Diamond Dog do have theirs. So they're still in this fight. Transcendence coming up for Vipers. That's going to be the main defensive ultimate as well as a lift ready again.
And, you know, that missed ultimate from Abe kind of matched by Panda Squad as we saw a dragon going over through the high ground after the Lynx had already pushed through that area, so no damage done from that. We've got a huge play here from the Vipers as all 5 members essentially, maybe Pando running for the hills. The Lynx absolutely decimated in their tracks.
3 ultimates, it looked like, just popped off at the exact same time. We saw Diamond Dog use theirs, Bonesaw used Molten Core, and Bladon used Lift. So Bladon lifted people up, and then Diamond Dog, while he was being lifted, earth-shattered Bladon's team, and Bonesaw was just there to, like, exist and get some picks, but it didn't happen, and the Vipers were able to capitalize in such a great way and hold this. Bladon really, really maintaining the space in a great way on that Sigma. Panda going to get taken down by Bonesaw, who's just so accurate with those mines. Now Mafazi getting bullied by the Lucio. I'd say that the Vipers are doing a great job of keeping the Lynx split, and we saw how effective that is. One of them's already down. Ame and Bonesaw, though, able to respond very fast. Vipers actually looking to be in a bad position here as Diamond Dog just keeping this pressure going. It's coming around the corner with the payload now, and Ame able to find Mafasi. This is very good for the Lynx, very bad for the Vipers. The Vipers trying to do everything they can to stop this payload here. Do not want to go to overtime, want to end it here. 50 seconds, that's all they have to hold. It's going to be very intense. Panda able to find 2. Well, actually able to find 1 with Mafazi following up for the second. Bladon taking out Mango. Pando on this Lucio doing a lot of work. We saw him be the main sustain for the Lynx in the defensive hold in the end, and he's consistently consistently the last member alive for the Lynx. Just really phenomenal Lucio player. We see them trying to bully the Vipers as much as they can, but Vipers really strong hold.
It's going to come down to it, folks. 15 seconds left on the clock. Lynx just have to hold on to just being in the proximity of the payload, and in the meantime trying to get any sort of picks. Panda Squad already going to drop. That's already numbers for the Lynx as Mafasi, Toasty Rapids, and Lyric all dropping. That is going to be great kills for the Lynx. This may be just what they need here in overtime as they've got it moving. And can it be done? Yes, they are going to be pushing it here into overtime. You know what I mean.
Overtime.
Extra innings with overtime. That's 3 points for both squads. And let's take a look at how close these clocks were. Of course, Lynx getting it done there in that overtime tick, but that's going to be a minute for the Lynx and a minute 38 for the Vipers. And, I mean, you got to hand it to the Lynx sticking through that one. It really looked like they were going to basically get to the front door, but not be able to go through it. And the Vipers, you know, especially with that late basically 3 ultimates used, huge play I had you talk us through, and it looked like the Lynx may be on their last legs, but wow, able to send it 2 extra innings. And now Vipers, I mean, they need this, right? They need this game or they will be eliminated by the Lynx, and the Lynx will advance to the grand finals next week to face off against the Barracudas. So this has to be where they make their stand, has to be where they flip the script on the Lynx and take a game off and send it to 2-1 and go to extra games here for the Vipers. But they've got a lot of work to do in the meantime.
The Lynx are going to have to come out of the gates very aggressive, pushing towards this first point. Only a minute on the clock. That seems like a long time, but it is definitely not, as you know, that time just ticks by every second. All the seconds they're walking to spawn before they even fight. There it is. That's 4 or 5 off the clock already. This is going to be a very, very fast-paced round. Bonesaw starting to open things up, with taking space. Winston, Diamond Dog just jumping into the fray, and now things are already starting on this point. We're seeing Hanzo actually getting pushed off of the high ground here by Pando and Bonesaw. Bonesaw going to do a great job there. Pando finding the headshot, also taking out Lyric, looking for the third. Zen's going to get taken out by Bonesaw. Now they're just looking at Sigma, and that's a very fast first point indeed. The Lynx looking very strong, so they get all 3 ticks in 40 seconds. Really great job. They only have 13 seconds left. That's right. So in overtime, once you hit overtime, even if you get an objective, as soon as it starts moving, once you're in overtime, that clock counts down to 0. It doesn't stop. It doesn't reset. No checkpoints reset it. It's just 0, and you're in overtime. So once all of the Lynx team members leave the payload for long enough, that is going to be this round over, and the Vipers will have their next chance to attack.
So this fight ever so important. Bonesaw already falling. So with the Lynx now already being a player down. Oh, but Bladon falling as well. This is a great response from the Lynx, taking out a member of the Vipers 4v5, and now a second one in Mafasi. This could be huge for the Lynx to gain some extra points here in overtime over the Vipers. It looked like they may be able to stop them there for the second with the Vipers, but boy, what a response from the Lynx to now continue to inch this forward, and we are into a second area that now the Vipers will have to try to defend. Lynx taking the high ground early here to prevent any sort of big defensive maneuvers from the Vipers.
Mango popping Coalescence, and that's going to find 2 already, as well as just putting out so much heals. The Vipers just not able to respond fast enough as the Lynx are just steamrolling through this overtime. And Mafasi just trying to stay alive here, getting chased down by Diamond Dog. Actually going to run over, try and bait off the map. Not going to be enough, and Mafasi's going to fall. Diamond Dog gets the
death down the side of the rock.
But the Lynx are at the next checkpoint. They're pushing forward still. Vipers not able to step up. They are just coming back from spawn, trying to set up for the last team fight instead. And yeah, it's just going to be really intense. Will the Lynx be able to get all 6 points? Is it going to end at 5? Every single meter counts. And the Vipers are going to have a very, very strong minute 40 on their side of attack.
And if you guys are curious, the number in blue there on that checkpoint, you can see at the top of your screen, is the number of uncontested players the Lynx have on the payload. And now they're just going to be sitting in contention there once basically in the Vipers base right at their spawn. And are they going to be able to continue
finds
this?
3! Are they going to get the 4th? This could be massive. The Lynx trying to do everything they can to get this payload all the way to the end. Ame finds 4. Is he going to get the ace? This would be an ace if he gets it. That's Diva Mech going down. Not quite the ace. Diamond Dog does get the mech, but Ame popping off at the end. Pando there and Diamond Dog to support. Just doing a great job trying to push these last 3 meters. It's not going to be happening yet, though. Panda staying on point as Tracer putting out so much damage on the Diamond Dog. Not going to stop anytime soon. Staying alive. An insane amount of heals coming out from the supports on Viper's line here. They're doing a fantastic hold here. This could be bad for the Lynx. As soon as all of them are off the payload, that is it. 3 meters left, and it is over. That is going to do it very soon. This is too
I mean, this fight being
so
sustained as long as it have, I think they've respawned, the Vipers have respawned maybe 3 or 4 times in this fight. Lynx just have to hang on. They don't have that luxury of the respawn. Pando finally falling. The big heals for the Lynx, the big sustain in this push could be it, and that might be overtime dropping. Oh, they got the point!
They got the point. That's Diamond. That's a Lynx victory. I do believe.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, there it is, 6-3 now. Vipers having to turn things around. Will they be able to get the last 3 points, or is this it?
I mean, that is a tall order. The
a
fact that they were able to get that off of the minute that they had and then through overtime. And not only that, that sustained fight. I mean, we must have been looking at that fight for better part of 2 minutes in that one area.
Yeah, absolutely. The Vipers just not giving up, coming back from spawn, using whatever movement they can to stay alive, doing it very well and sustaining, but it's not going to be enough as the Lynx with Diamond Dog on that ultimate just able to pound through the Diva tank, just Diva Mech just not going to be able to have enough sustain in the end for the Vipers. The Lynx got it.
And
wow.
Of course, everyone, we love that you guys are joining us here for this action here on the Shenandoah University Network. But don't forget to download the free ESTV Plus app to catch all the Esports Tower Rumble action. If you're not watching us here, make sure you check out that. They've got a vast collection of VODs from past Esports Tower competitions and Rumbles. And if you can't find it here, you absolutely can find it over there. So make sure you go download the ESTV Plus app today. But let's dive right back into the action for the Vipers. Let's see if they're going to be able to make something, take out some people. Bonesaw falling early. That's going to be Ame dropping. this is what the Vipers need here to get. They got to start out quick and early because they only have 1 minute and 15 seconds of regulation overtime, and then they basically have to stay on that point the entire time.
I think we're already through the start. They're on point. They're taking it, and they're ready to move to the next mid-game, just like the Lynx. It's these fast attacks, and the Lynx somehow not prepared for it. Just not able to hold. Vipers strong. And Mafasi, Pharmacy again, just going to be doing so much work. We saw it last last game, but Bonesaw was able to utilize it. Now Mafasi used it to kind of flip those tables around. Ame switched over to the Widowmaker for this very long angle where they get any nice clean headshots to slow down the Vipers. There it is on the Panda. And now they're going to be looking for the next one. Nobody peeking that LOS. Too scared except for Bladon. Bladon is willing to put himself in the way of danger for his team.
I will say, luckily for the Vipers, they are able to push through that portcullis before their actual time had run out. So they don't necessarily need anybody on the payload in this moment, but they will in 10 seconds, and they need to try and win a fight before that happens. And it has come down to Mango and Pando also going down there. And that might be an opportunity for the Vipers to get some early kills here as Bonesaw takes down Panda Squad. Panda Squad down onto Ame. This is looking pretty good for the Vipers as they're going to get some picks.
Lynx still controlling the high ground, though. The Vipers opting to just not contest it as a lot of their players are walking back from spawn right now. They just have to stay on that payload. Lynx just really needs to maintain this space. They decided not to try and press forward. They're going to wait for their team to come back. A really great decision, way to play patiently. Toasty just trying to cause some chaos in those backlines is going to be enough as Bonesaw gets taken down.
And I was a little bit worried about Bonesaw and Mango pushing out without their team, and I was right to do so because both Bonesaw and Mango followed, and Pando going to stagger in with Ame as a result. So the Lynx, a little bit of a misplay there as they were just trying to get a little bit of extra damage, but that's going to be a team kill, and now the Vipers going to be cruising into their second point. What an overtime, Josh!
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the most insane overtimes I've ever been able to cast. This is insane. Diamond Dog coming up on ult. Actually, all of Lynx almost on the ult. Vipers looking very close to. We have Toasty Rabbits at 67. Lyric almost ready on that Nano, as Panda has Dragons ready. Dragons could really open this up on this small corridor for the Vipers. Just has to place it right. We're going to see Bonesaw actually get the Echo onto the Ana. Going to be very interesting, but that anti-heal is going to do it. And that's going to win Lynx the game.
Oh my goodness, when you get down to that overtime timer, there is no way to give up an inch, and I can't wait to see what the play of the game is because this game was a long one.
Oh,
it's going to be Ame on that
Ame with the aim.
Let me see this one. Oh, it was during the final brawl there in overtime for the Lynx as they were pushing through to get that 6th point.
Yeah, just an amazing shots coming out of Ame and amazing holds from both teams. The Lynx, though, coming out on top in the end.
Wow.
Whew.
And I mean, I got to say congratulations to the Lynx. They were able to push forward and get into the grand finals to face off against I'm going to call their nemesis, the Barracudas. They have been unbeaten so far, but I would say based off of what we saw in week number 1 in the group stages, the Lynx looking really strong against them through most of their games, right? And there was just that little bit of relinquish where they gave up some ground and Barracudas took no time to take that. And that's going to be our grand final matchup for next week, the Barracudas versus the Lynx. I am stoked.
So am I. And to present the player of the week from the Lynx is Diamond Dog on the tank. She's been doing a phenomenal job. Really, we saw them. I mean, they were the ones who pushed through on the end, taking out that Divamex, securing all 6 points. That really didn't lead necessarily to victory, but put them in the perfect position to get it.
Yeah. She was saying last week with some interviews with the coaches that she believes that she's the best tank in this invitational. And this player of the week, the way that she was forcing engagements, taking up space, and really creating that chaos, we saw on the right heart, on the ball, just continuing to make sure that the other teams couldn't set up. And that's exactly what the tank was, the tank role is built there to do, is to get in and create a lot of essentially, disruption within the enemy team. And we saw that quite clearly against the Vipers tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm excited to see them again in the grand finals, as they're going to be taking on our last week's previous player of the week, Glory, on the tank as well. So, showdown of the MVPs next week in grand finals. I hope you're excited for it. I definitely am. This has just been an amazing series so far. And the Lynx with the momentum, the coaches were not wrong. Once they built it, they got it, and they're going. Diamond Dog looking very strong. Pando on the Lucio, I cannot give enough props to. Just so much offensive pressure, able to take space and keep so many of the DPS players just out of the fight. Pando, just fantastic Lucio player.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been tonight's broadcast of the Esports Tower Invitational semifinals. If you want to check out more action like this, make sure to come back next week, 6 p.m. right here at Shenandoah University, Shenandoah Esports here on Twitch. And again, with that ESTV Plus app, make sure to check that out because we are broadcasting there as well. And if you want to get in on the action as far as a player, there is a 2-week free trial that you can get in and essentially, get some coaching lessons, get in on a team, play with like-minded players, and really start your journey to getting recruited to college and maybe getting a piece of that amazing scholarship number that we listed earlier. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for tonight. My name is Xander Merle Smith. This is Josh Cunningham, and we'll see you next week.
This is a sign-off dance for me. I have to do this. I'm dancing now. Bye-bye.